Imagine living in a world where every storm, quake, or comet was thought to be a sign of divine anger. This was the reality for many ancient societies. But in the 3rd century BCE, a philosopher named Epicurus offered a different perspective. Epicurus challenged the fears of divine wrath. He proposed a life guided by reason and tranquility. His ideas still resonate today, inviting us to rethink our understanding of nature and the divine. Epicurus was born in 341 BCE on the island of Samos. He grew up during a time when myths and divine interventions were commonly accepted explanations for natural events. The gods were seen as the arbiters of human fate. They could bless with abundance or curse with disaster, depending on their whims. People lived in a state of continuous appeasement, performing rituals and sacrifices to placate these powerful beings. Yet, for Epicurus, this was not a fulfilling way to live. He sought to liberate humanity from the shackles of fear and superstition. His philosophy was not about atheism but about understanding the world in a way that brought peace and clarity. Epicurus introduced a philosophy that defied the conventional wisdom of his time. He suggested that the phenomena we witness are not the handiwork of divine beings. Instead, they are the result of natural causes that can be understood through reason and observation. This was a radical departure from the prevailing views. Epicurus believed that understanding nature through the lens of reason could free people from unnecessary fears. By explaining natural occurrences through natural laws, Epicurus hoped to remove the anxiety associated with divine retribution. To Epicurus, the universe was not a playground for capricious deities. It was a complex system governed by cause and effect. He argued that natural events followed their own logic, independent of any divine will. This perspective allowed individuals to view the world with curiosity rather than dread. Epicurus taught that knowledge and understanding are keys to achieving tranquility. He encouraged people to seek explanations based on observable phenomena rather than relying on mythological constructs. In this way, Epicurus aimed to cultivate a sense of peace and security, grounded in the natural world. One of the central tenets of Epicurus's philosophy was his theory of atomism. This theory postulated that the universe is composed of small, indivisible particles called atoms. According to Epicurus, these atoms move and interact according to certain natural laws. The interactions of these particles are what create the diverse forms and events we observe in the world. This idea was revolutionary because it suggested that everything, from the stars to human beings, operates according to natural principles. By attributing natural phenomena to atoms rather than gods, Epicurus offered a new framework for understanding existence. Atomism had profound implications for how people perceived the divine. If natural processes could be explained through the interactions of atoms, then divine intervention was not necessary to account for the workings of the universe. This shifted the focus from appeasing unpredictable deities to understanding the predictable laws of nature. For Epicurus, this understanding could lead to a life free of fear and anxiety. It allowed people to face the future with confidence, knowing that events were not subject to the whims of gods, but to the natural order. Critics of Epicurus, particularly the Stoics, raised concerns about his dismissal of divine oversight. The Stoics maintained that a world without divine involvement risked moral decay. They believed that gods provided a moral framework and purpose to life. Without divine oversight, they argued, people might abandon ethical principles and societal norms. Yet, Epicurus had a different view. He held firmly to the belief that morality was not dependent on divine sanction. Instead, he advocated for a morality rooted in the pursuit of a peaceful and fulfilling life. Epicurus argued that understanding natural laws and seeking pleasure in moderation served as a better guide for ethical behavior. He emphasized the importance of friendships, knowledge, and simple pleasures as the foundation for a good life. By focusing on these aspects, individuals could find happiness and tranquility without fear of divine punishment. Epicurus saw morality not as a set of divine commands, but as a path to personal and communal well-being. The debate between Epicureans and their critics highlights a timeless tension between reason and faith. In Epicurus's view, embracing the natural world and its laws leads to a more harmonious and less fearful existence. He believed that humans possess the capacity to understand their environment and make moral choices independently. By reducing the role of divine intervention, Epicurus sought to empower individuals to live thoughtfully and joyfully. This empowerment was central to his vision of a life well lived. As we consider Epicurus's tranquil wisdom, it invites us to ponder the nature of fear and knowledge. It challenges us to question how we interpret the events around us and the role we assign to divine forces. Epicurus's ideas continue to provoke thought and inspire those who seek a rational understanding of the world. His philosophy encourages us to look beyond myths and embrace the beauty of natural phenomena. Such a perspective not only liberates us from fear, but also enriches our appreciation of the universe. Critics of Epicurus, particularly the Stoics, were quick to challenge his ideas. They feared that removing divine oversight from the equation could lead to moral decay. The Stoics believed that the gods provided essential moral guidance. To them, divine presence was crucial for maintaining a sense of purpose and direction in life. Without divine intervention, they argued, society might drift away from ethical principles and evolve into chaos. The Stoics saw the divine as an anchor for righteousness, a necessary force to ensure ethical behavior. Epicurus, however, was undeterred by these criticisms. He maintained that morality did not rely on divine commands. Instead, he proposed that ethical behavior could be grounded in reason and the pursuit of a peaceful and fulfilling life. For Epicurus, the key to morality lay in understanding human nature and the natural world. He believed that by aligning actions with nature's laws and seeking pleasure in moderation, individuals could lead virtuous lives. Epicurus saw no need for divine oversight to instill morality. He had faith in human capacity for rational thought and ethical decision-making. Epicurus argued for a morality based on personal and communal well-being. He saw virtue in simple pleasures, knowledge, and strong friendships. These, he believed, were the pillars of a good life. By fostering connections and understanding, individuals could achieve happiness and tranquility. Epicurus's morality was practical and accessible. It did not require fear of divine punishment. Instead, it called for a life led by reason and mutual respect. The debate between Epicureans and Stoics reflects a timeless tension. It is the struggle between faith and reason. Epicurus's philosophy encourages us to trust in our ability to understand and navigate the world. He posits that humans are capable of making moral choices without needing divine mandates. This belief in human reason was radical and empowering. It encouraged individuals to live thoughtfully and joyously, free from the shadow of divine retribution. As we consider Epicurus's tranquil wisdom, we are invited to reflect on the nature of fear and knowledge. His philosophy challenges us to reconsider how we interpret the events that unfold around us. It invites us to question the role we assign to divine forces in our lives. Epicurus's ideas provoke thought and inspire those who seek a rational understanding of the world. By embracing natural explanations, we can cultivate peace and clarity. This perspective does not only liberate us from fear, but also deepens our appreciation of the universe. Epicurus concluded that embracing natural explanations fosters peace of mind. He believed that understanding the world through reason leads to a life of tranquility. Free from the fear of divine wrath, individuals can pursue knowledge and joy. This philosophical outlook encourages us to face life's uncertainties with calm curiosity. Epicurus's ideas challenge us to find beauty and meaning in the natural world. They invite us to explore the universe with open minds and hearts. In contemplating Epicurus's teachings, we are left to ponder their relevance in today's world. His philosophy offers a lens through which to view modern parallels. In an age where science and reason continue to demystify natural phenomena, Epicurus' wisdom remains pertinent. It encourages us to question assumptions and seek understanding. His teachings remind us of the power of reason and the potential for a life free from unnecessary fears. As we conclude this exploration of Epicurus' tranquil wisdom, we are reminded of the lasting impact of his ideas. They continue to resonate, encouraging us to find harmony between reason and belief. Epicurus invites us to appreciate the world as it is, to find solace in the natural order, and to live with intention and joy. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Epicurean thought. We hope this reflection inspires you to look at the world with renewed curiosity and peace. Epicurus's philosophy, with its emphasis on reason and natural explanations, stands in stark contrast to the Stoic worldview. While both schools of thought emerged in ancient Greece, they offered differing paths to achieving tranquility. The Stoics, led by figures like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, emphasized living in accordance with nature, accepting fate, and cultivating inner virtue. They believed in a divine order, a logos, governing the universe, which implied a certain acceptance of fate. Epicurus, however, argued against the notion of a predestined cosmos. He posited that the universe was composed of atoms moving in the void, a concept he borrowed from Democritus. This atomic theory underpins his belief in free will. If atoms can swerve unpredictably, so too can humans make choices unfettered by divine control. This idea is pivotal for Epicurus, because it implies that humans can shape their own destinies without divine intervention. One historical example where Epicurus' philosophy bears relevance is the scientific revolution. Figures like Galileo and Newton, by seeking natural explanations for celestial phenomena, echoed Epicurus' call for understanding the world through reason. This shift from a theocentric to a more empirical view of the universe mirrors the Epicurean dismissal of divine causes in favor of natural ones. A strong objection to Epicurus' view comes from the religious perspective. Critics argue that without belief in divine oversight, moral behavior might decline. The fear of divine retribution, they contend, is a powerful deterrent against wrongdoing. Epicurus rebuts this by suggesting that fear is not a sustainable or noble basis for ethical behavior. Instead, he champions the intrinsic value of virtue, arguing that living justly leads to the most pleasant life. According to Epicurus, justice is a social contract born of mutual advantage, not divine command. In addressing the fear of death, a core concern for many, Epicurus is famously quoted in his letter to Minucius. "Death is nothing to us." He explains that when we exist, death is not present, and when death is present, we do not exist. Thus, fearing death is irrational. This perspective aims to liberate individuals from the paralyzing dread of mortality, enabling them to focus on living a fulfilling life. Another area where Epicurus' thoughts encounter opposition is the concept of hedonism. Critics often misinterpret Epicurean philosophy as advocating for reckless indulgence. However, Epicurus distinguishes between different types of pleasures. He advocates for simple pleasures and warns against overindulgence, which can lead to pain. For Epicurus, the highest pleasure is ataraxia, or the absence of mental distress and physical pain. In the modern era, the relevance of Epicurean thought is evident in the growing interest in secular ethics. As societies become more diverse and secular, the need for a morality that does not rely on religious foundations increases. Epicurus' approach suggests an ethical framework grounded in human well-being and rational thought. This can be seen in contemporary discussions about human rights and environmental ethics, where reasoning and mutual respect are emphasized over religious doctrine. Epicurus' ideas challenge the notion that happiness is found in wealth or status. He suggests that true contentment comes from freeing oneself from vain desires. In today's consumer-driven world, this message resonates deeply. The pursuit of material wealth often leads to stress rather than satisfaction. Epicurus encourages us to find joy in simple, sustainable living, valuing friendship and intellectual pursuits over material accumulation. In countering the Epicurean view, Stoics might argue that accepting divine providence and the inevitability of certain events cultivates resilience. They believe that a life in harmony with nature's order leads to emotional strength. Epicurus, however, might respond that equanimity can also be achieved by understanding the causes of events, reducing superstitions, and focusing on personal agency within the bounds of natural laws. Epicurus' teachings invite continuous reflection on the role of belief and reason in our lives. His philosophy promotes a life examined through the lens of empirical evidence and rational thought. By challenging us to relinquish fears rooted in the unknown, Epicurus offers a pathway to a life enriched by knowledge and tranquility. His ideas underscore the potential for humanity to thrive through reason, mutual respect, and the pursuit of genuine happiness. Epicurus' philosophy further contends with the notion of desire, particularly its origins and consequences. He categorizes desires into three types: natural and necessary, natural but unnecessary, and vain and empty. Food and shelter fall into the first category, which are essential for survival. Fine dining and luxury housing, though natural, are unnecessary. The third category includes desires for wealth, fame, and power, which are insatiable and led to perpetual dissatisfaction. By focusing on what is natural and necessary, Epicurus advocates for a life of moderation. This idea echoes the Buddhist teaching of the middle way, where balance avoids the extremes of self-indulgence and self-mortification. Epicurus, like the Buddha, sees the path to happiness as disentangled from excessive desires. Happiness, thus, becomes a pursuit of simplicity rather than opulence. These ideas have found resonance in contemporary minimalist movements, which emphasize the value of living with less. Minimalism suggests that owning fewer possessions reduces stress and increases freedom, aligning closely with Epicurean thought. The reduction of choice and the focus on essentials can lead to a more content and peaceful existence. In this way, Epicurus's ancient perspective finds a fresh application in the context of modern life's complexities. Critics, however, might argue that Epicureanism's emphasis on personal tranquility could lead to a form of disengagement from society and its issues. The philosopher Martha Nussbaum points out that such a focus on personal peace might encourage withdrawal from civic duties and social justice. Nussbaum argues that a well-lived life requires engagement with the world's problems, not just an internal peace. Epicurus might counter this criticism by suggesting that personal tranquility provides a stable platform from which to engage with the world effectively. Without being overwhelmed by unnecessary desires or fears, individuals can think and act more clearly and purposefully. For Epicurus, the pursuit of individual peace does not preclude concern for others. Rather, it enables genuine compassion and action. The historical context of Epicureanism also reveals its enduring influence. In ancient Rome, figures such as Lucretius advanced Epicurean ideas in his work De Rerum Natura, which explained the nature of the universe through atomism and dispelled the fear of gods and death. Lucretius' writing, while rooted in Epicurean philosophy, sought to liberate Roman society from superstition and fear, showing how these ideas have historically been leveraged for broader social critique. Moreover, during the Renaissance, Epicurean thought revived interest in humanism and scientific inquiry. Thinkers like Thomas More and Erasmus found in Epicurus a kindred spirit in their pursuit of knowledge and human welfare, free from the dogmatic constraints of their time. The Renaissance humanists saw in Epicurus a rational approach to life that emphasized empirical observation and the improvement of human conditions. In modern times, Epicureanism intersects with utilitarianism, particularly in the work of Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill Dowell. Bentham's principle of the greatest happiness for the greatest number echoes Epicurean ideals, though Bentham places more emphasis on quantifying pleasure. Mill, on the other hand, introduces a qualitative distinction, which resonates more closely with Epicurus's differentiation between higher and lower pleasures. Epicurus's focus on rational self-evaluation can also be seen as a precursor to existentialist themes. Figures like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus explore similar existential questions about meaning and death, albeit with different conclusions. Where existentialists often find absurdity, Epicurus finds tranquility through understanding and acceptance. In considering Epicurean thought, it is crucial to recognize its emphasis on community and friendship. Epicurus famously stated that of all the things wisdom provides for living one's life in happiness, the greatest is friendship. This focus on personal relationships as central to a fulfilling life challenges the notion that his philosophy is purely individualistic. Friendships help individuals flourish by providing support, companionship, and shared joy, creating a tapestry of social bonds that enrich life. The arguments for and against Epicurus's views continue to offer valuable insights into the human condition. His teachings invite us to reflect not only on how we live our lives, but also on what truly matters. His philosophy suggests that by understanding our nature, shedding unnecessary fears, and nurturing meaningful relationships, we can lead lives of genuine contentment and purpose. As we navigate the challenges and opportunities of the contemporary world, Epicurus' counsel remains a poignant reminder of the power of simplicity and reason. In examining the societal impact of Epicurean philosophy, we see its enduring influence in various forms, such as the arts and politics. During the Enlightenment, for instance, Voltaire admired Epicurus for his rejection of superstition and his advocacy for reason. Voltaire considered Epicurus a forerunner in the battle against medieval obscurantism. This admiration reflects a broader Enlightenment trend, where philosophers sought to ground ethics and governance in reason rather than divine authority. Moving forward, the practical application of Epicurean ideas can be observed in modern secular humanism. This movement, which promotes human reason and ethics without recourse to the supernatural, aligns with Epicurus' call to rely on empirical evidence and rational inquiry. The emphasis on well-being in secular humanism resonates with Epicurus' idea that pleasure, understood as the absence of pain, is the highest good. Despite its merits, Epicurean philosophy has faced significant objections. Critics argue that its hedonistic foundation could lead to selfishness or moral laxity. Stoics like Seneca contended that a life centered on pleasure, even if rational, is inherently unstable because it depends on external conditions. Seneca insisted that virtue is the sole path to true happiness, a stance that sharply contrasts with Epicurean thought. Epicurus addressed such critiques by emphasizing that the pursuit of pleasure does not equate to indulgence. Instead, he argued for a calculated approach to desires, where simple pleasures should be prioritized over transient indulgences. For example, Epicurus suggested that natural and necessary desires, like those for food, shelter, and friendship, are easily satisfied and led to lasting happiness. This approach, he claimed, prevents the soul from becoming enslaved to excessive or harmful desires. Another major objection comes from the religious perspective, which challenges Epicurus' dismissal of divine intervention. Many theologians have argued that belief in a higher power provides meaning and moral guidance that Epicureanism lacks. In response, Epicurus posited that gods, if they exist, are indifferent to human affairs. He contended that human happiness lies in understanding nature and accepting the limits of our control rather than relying on divine whims. Epicureanism's treatment of death also invites debate. Epicurus famously claimed that death is nothing to us since when we exist, death is not present, and when death is present, we do not exist. This view seeks to alleviate the fear of death by portraying it as a natural and inevitable part of life. Critics, however, argue that this perspective might overlook the existential anxiety that individuals feel about mortality and the potential loss of identity and legacy. Nonetheless, Epicurus' approach to death encourages a focus on the present moment, a notion that appeals to mindfulness practices today. By concentrating on living well in the present, individuals can mitigate anxieties about the future. This parallels modern psychological approaches that stress mindfulness as a tool for reducing stress and enhancing well-being. The Epicurean belief in the importance of community and friendship further enriches its philosophical legacy. In stark contrast to individualistic tendencies, Epicurus advocated for a life intertwined with others, suggesting that friendships not only provide pleasure, but also serve as a refuge from life's adversities. Historical examples abound, where Epicurean communities, known as gardens, embodied this principle by fostering environments of mutual aid and intellectual exchange. Even in contemporary society, the value of such communal bonds is evident. Research in psychology underscores the positive impact of strong social connections on mental health and longevity. The Epicurean insight that friendships contribute significantly to happiness finds empirical support today, reinforcing the timelessness of this aspect of his philosophy. In the realm of political philosophy, Epicurean ideas have influenced discussions on governance and societal organization. The notion of pursuing collective well-being aligns with modern democratic ideals. Epicurean thought indirectly supports welfare systems and policies aimed at reducing societal stressors, resonating with the pursuit of happiness articulated in foundational democratic texts. In conclusion, Epicurus' philosophy continues to provoke reflection and debate. His insights into pleasure, fear, and social bonds offer a lens through which to view both personal fulfillment and societal progress. While critiques persist, the core tenets of Epicureanism, rationality, simplicity, and friendship, remain compelling in the quest for a balanced and meaningful life. As we consider the enduring relevance of Epicurean philosophy, we are prompted to examine our own lives through its lens. Epicurus invites us to question the balance we strike between individual desires and communal obligations. Are we investing enough in the relationships that sustain us? Are we truly living in the present, or are our minds trapped in the anxieties of what is yet to come? These are questions that transcend time, touching the core of human experience. Epicurus raises an open question. How can we integrate his philosophy into the complexities of modern life, where technology and pace often pull us away from simplicity and meaningful connection? This question invites continuous exploration and self-reflection. It challenges us to adapt ancient wisdom to contemporary challenges, seeking harmony between hedonism and altruism. Thank you for listening. Join us next time as we explore the Stoic approach to adversity and resilience. Until then, may your days be filled with thoughtful inquiry and contentment.